Welcome to the 25th anniversary of the Great South Run here in Portsmouth. With around 25,000 participating, it remains Europe's most popular 10-mile race. Once again, a fine elite field of both men and women will line up, including the holder of the world's best time, Lynette Masai of Kenya, and the defending men's champion, Emmanuel Bet, also of Kenya. Joining me in the commentary box, Tim Hutchings. The first athlete to be introduced will be Doris Changewo of Kenya. She is the young woman who was second in the Great Birmingham race recently. A very strong finish from her to overtake Lynette Masai on her debut. This is Iwona Lewandowski of Poland, won the Great Island Run earlier on this year, and also she's already had one marathon, winning the Eindhoven marathon. So, well, Pauline Wanjiku of Kenya won the Birmingham race. It was a very strong run indeed. She is a front runner, and I would expect her to be out front again to establish the tenor of the race. Well, I have to say that Gemma Steele coming forward now, a marvellous Great North Run in second place, the first time under 70 minutes, and my goodness me, how she's promised that over recent seasons, and all of a sudden it came along in that race. And, the tall figure of Lynette Masai, the Kenyan, the former world 10,000 metre champion. That was in Berlin in 2009. She actually holds the world best for this distance at 50 minutes and 39 seconds. She set that in that year, 2009. So the race almost underway, 10 miles ahead of them. Look at the masses behind. It's a wonderful, wonderful scene. It is one of the most famous, if not the most famous 10-mile race in Europe. Well, certainly the best time. It was set in 2002 by Sonia O'Sullivan, 51 minutes. And the race, I would think, would unfold pretty quickly here. There's some real talent in this race. And Masai established herself on the half-marathon scene in Birmingham. Hadn't run one before. That was a debut, and was found wanting in the final stages. But Wanjiku absolutely flew away, but had a stitch in the final stages, but managed to run through to the finish quite strongly, that last mile and a half uphill. But Gemma Steele, well, just look at this. She's really up front there, wants to establish this race, and I tell you what, she will do. After the evidence of the Great North Run, Tim, that is just unbelievable running.
Yes, Stuart, I mean, this is a big step forward, I think, for Gemma today, or it can be in her career, her progression towards the very top of world class. She needs to get the bull by the horns, so to speak, here today, in my opinion, and run this in the way she likes to run, which is aggressively. She has got slight confidence problems, she said, about her marathon debut, which was due to be last April in London, but she got injured. Now it's going to be in Berlin next year, probably.
Well, let's have a look at the course in a moment, because it's quite interesting. It starts along the Esplanade Parade, through the Heritage area at the top, then out of the Naval Park through the Marlborough Gate, Queen Street, Winston Churchill Avenue, right the way down to Clarence Esplanade, back round at 7 miles at Eastern Parade, and back along the front, Eastway Esplanade, Southsea Esplanade, and the South Parade Pier. Is 10 miles, and that last 2 miles is quite challenging, I can tell you. Yes, another word about Oljira. She's already run the Boston Marathon. She ran a 2:24:21 marathon, and she's moving up onto the left behind Changewo, who is now alongside Wanjiku, and just for the moment Gemma Steele just drops back, and that's not a bad thing to do. Let somebody else take it on. Tall figure of Masai on the right. Masai had her debut over half marathon in Birmingham, really was going strongly and challenged Wanjiku, but eventually that extra 3 miles on the top took its toll, really, and she couldn't stay with Wanjiku. But Wanjiku was holding her side for the whole of the last couple of miles. We thought, well, is she going to stop? But she recovered, and it was quite a strong finish we saw in the end.
Well, one of the ironies with Masai is that she's the youngest of all these elite athletes. She's only 24, Stuart, and yet she is the world record holder, or the world best time holder, with 50:39, and as a former world champion at 10,000 metres, she has all the pedigree necessary to defeat a field of this calibre. Question is, what sort of shape is she actually in? She's her best 10 miles this year, 53.09. That was a month or so ago. The masses, of course, every one of them with their own goals, and very nervous too with the 10 miles lay ahead of them. That's about 16 kilometres if you want the metric version, but here are the elite athletes, and what a strong field it is, despite 1 or 2 withdrawals from recent days. Joel Kimutai, the 2014 Great Birmingham Run champion, he won by almost a minute last week in strong winds and some not insignificant hills in the half marathon just a week ago. I wonder if that's still in his legs though. As Gianni Mucci ran a mighty intelligent race to take the European Championship Marathon gold, and is no mean track performer, the Italian. Watch him. Well, and next up is a very special performer indeed. What a year Andy Vernon has had. The British number 2, he took silver and bronze at the European Championships at 10,000 and 5,000 behind Mo Farah. 4th here last year, but a quite different runner now. And then, of course, who can forget that Commonwealth Games marathon win on the 27th of July? Very tough customer is Michael Shelley, the Australian. He will not be beaten easily in what is his 10-mile debut today. And last year's Bupa Great South Run champion, still smarting though from last week's defeat by Joel Kimutai in Birmingham over the half marathon. He's easily the fastest of these men over 10,000 metres on the track, but as he recovered from that half marathon just 7 days ago.
It's time for your 2014 Bupa Great South Run. We go again on the starter's pistol and the horns from Joe Pavey and the mare.
Well, away they go then, the men's field underway. Joe Pavey there was hoping to run this one carrying a slight niggle, but the starter and giving her support to the 25,000 plus runners today taking part in this Bupa Great South Run. I wonder whether the wind will slow the elite men down over this first mile or so, but a lot of very, very good club runners there behind that elite group will be looking to push well inside the hour for the 10-mile distance.
It'll take some time for them to come over that start line. We always say that they've got individual transponders on their feet, or on their ankles rather, and those personal stopwatches will be clicked as well, just to make absolutely sure that they don't miss out if the transponder fails. It's just a job getting through that start line, isn't it? So many people. It's the biggest 10-miler. Well, let's just have a look. Look at this. There's a break here, and it looks like Masai's been dropped off. Certainly when Jiko's gone. And Lynette Masai, who's the holder of the world best for this distance of 50.39, really struggling a little bit here. Chengewo on the right. Then you've got Gemma Steele on the left. Behind her is Oljira, the late entry, as I've said. How will Masai respond to this? But these 4 are way ahead of the rest of the field. Very, very nice piece of subtle increase in pace there, which saw Wanjiko off. Wanjiko certainly in the background, you can just see her suffering still from that very fine win in the half marathon in Birmingham.
And Stuart, the pace accelerating all the time. I wonder what the split will be for this 5th mile. They'll be going through that pretty soon. As you mentioned, just outside 53-minute tempo at 4 miles, but I think we'll see a time well inside 53 minutes. And once you get down to sort of 52-minute territory, you're talking absolute world-class running. They were, you know, it's a shame in a way that they lost 15-20 seconds those first couple of miles, because they did set off very conservatively. They're making up for it now.
Well, Masai's latched onto the back of Oljira, hasn't she? I mean, she's come back, and it looks like Chengewo now is starting to suffer off the back of that group, and all of a sudden Gemma Steele sees a chance. Put the pedal down, see if you can get away from this field, really accelerate away. The confidence she got from that Great North Run, 2nd place, is absolutely astonishing. 5 miles gone through, so halfway. Well, the dockyard, of course, the men, and that diminutive figure still there menacing at the front as he did in Birmingham. A really fine run by Joel Kimutai. A big surprise for him. And it was a real tussle with Emmanuel Bett too in that race. Absolutely superb race.
Well, they've went through the first mile, Stuart, in a cracking 4:39, and it looks like that 2nd mile was not much slower either. They really are tanking along here, these men, and hence the big gaps behind them. Michael Shelley just to the left there behind in the bright yellow. That doesn't help a lot, I know, but Shelley, the Australian, is 2nd to left at the moment. And to the right of the screen, Kiplimo, moving really, or Kimutai I should say. No, it is Kiplimo, moving really well too.
Well, certainly Gemma Steele, 11 finishes on the road and country in the top 3 in her career, and that is all in the recent last 2 or 3 seasons. So she really is developing as an athlete in every sense, and this is a confidence to take on Africa. It really is. 4 seasons have gone so well. 5th in that in this race in 2010. We met 5:23 on that last mile, just to say that. But remember that 5th place, that started it all. And since then, well, she's done so well.
But there's the 5 kilometre splits, 14:22 at 5k, and well, that's 28:44 for 10,000 meters. It's very, very quick indeed, and all 5 of them, or 6 of them, looking pretty comfortable at the moment. Kimutai, the smallest of them, but that matters not a jot in distance running. It's all about power to weight ratio. He's run 3 half marathons this year, each of them getting quicker, and then winning in Birmingham last week in very difficult conditions. Let's not make light of that. In Birmingham, 61:39 he ran in Birmingham, little Kimutai, and yet on a hilly course and some pretty strong winds gusting around the Midlands as well. So it was worth probably a minute quicker, and then you're talking absolute top world class. So he will be a tough, tough man to beat here today. I don't envy these other 5 in yellow. They are going so quickly here. I think they might well be pressurising the course record. The course record 45:16. They certainly look like they're going to go under 46 minutes, which would be fabulous running. 6 miles to go.
And they're down to 2 now. Changewo has dropped off the back, and all of a sudden it's Oljira, Bayanesh Oljira of Ethiopia, and Gemma Steele. These 2. And, well, I must say, 7.5 gone for the women. And it's going to be quick. But certainly you have a young woman who, in 2012, as I said, with that Houston half marathon, then she greatly improved her 10,000 meters on the track. She ran 30 minutes, 26:70. And in the Prefontaine Classic in June in 2012, and then came 5th in the Olympic 10,000, this woman. So, you know, she's been around at the top for quite a while now, certainly the last 2 or 3 seasons. And Gemma really working hard to stay on her. She's been drafting Gemma for a long, long way, and then all of a sudden she must have put the pedal down and gone away, and Changewo couldn't respond. Kiplimo on the right. Emmanuel Bett is there as well, as we've seen before. Then James Rungaru. He's only 21. This is a debut, incidentally. And Shelley just dropping off the back of that, finding this pace a little bit tough for the Commonwealth Marathon champion.
4:38, that 6th mile. This is a tough section for Shelley, and this is where he'll have to dig deep and draw upon those marathon training reserves. Very, very difficult last 4 miles for him. That 6th mile, 4:38 after a 4:33 and a 4:29. So even though they had a slight breather, he has been dropped.
Neither of them betraying anything at the moment. They both look pretty comfortable, but who's got the speed to sprint into that finish? They've both got strength endurance, that's for sure, but where's the speed endurance on the end? Another little push by Gemma, trying to get ahead of this very talented Ethiopian. Look at this, drafting again, getting in behind Gemma once again. You just get the feeling that she's just waiting to attack, don't you?
Well, and that's got to be in her mind too. Once you get into the last mile, and somebody with a real track speed and a track mentality will be gathering confidence. They are running into a strong wind here now, and if I was Gemma, I think I might be tempted to start moving across the road a little bit, just to stop the Ethiopians sheltering behind me. You know, not literally zigzagging, but just moving a little bit to one side to make sure that she's taking her fair share of the headwind. There's back to the men, Kiplimo and Bett. Still running hard. We're down to 3, and it's looking very, very difficult indeed for the athletes behind over this last 3 miles or so. Bett, Kiplimo, Rungaru is still there. tucked in third place, shadowing this pair. But Kiplimo certainly is to be in charge at the moment. The Commonwealth Marathon bronze medalist has run a couple of marathons this year, a good pair of marathons too. He won Beppu in Japan, and then that Commonwealth bronze medal. And this is a strong man's race, the way this men's race has unfolded. It's been so quick from the start.
It's going to be a quick race, this, Tim, and certainly Gemma's going to be inside her best once again. Not only will she inside the half marathon best, she's going to be inside her 10-mile best here, assuming that all goes well here, of course, in the last a mile to go. There you are, the 9-mile marker is gone. They're right along the coast road, and that's when the wind from the sea hits you. Now, who's going to make the break now in this last mile? Oljira looks dangerous to me. And has Gemma got enough power, enough speed at the end, but the Ethiopian looks ominously strong to me. A lovely, easy stride behind. But certainly there'll be a lot of support, home support for Gemma as she tries once again to get away. Another little glance. Where is she? She's just behind you, Gemma. She's not going anywhere. It's going to be a sprint finish between these two, that's for sure, unless someone makes the break early. And Gemma will have to run the speed out of this young woman. She certainly will if she's going to prevail here, I think.
Well, Kiplimo's hit the front in this men's race and kicked in very hard. Rungaru, the only man capable of going with him, nearly 32 minutes on the clock. They've got their last 3 miles, been 4:33, 4:29, 4:38. It's lightning quick, this men's race, and they're beginning to be tossed away, the pack in this group, because they just couldn't stay with this lightning quick pace.
Well, let's catch up with the 7 miles now, and this is the final stages now. Steele leading Oljira, and the crowd cheering for the homegrown girl. Can she beat this very talented Ethiopian, Balyanesh Oljira? Who's going to turn on the pedal? Who's going to turn on the power here as they come down the final stages now? Can Gemma, has she got enough strength? Can she get a sprint finish out of this? Will Oljira move out shortly and attack? I'm sure she will. Oljira will surely move out shortly and attack. Has she done enough to take the speed out of the Ethiopian's legs? Lots of encouragement coming from the side. Steele leads then, Oljira in second place. These two in combat as they approach the finish now. Another little glance. Gemma Steele emerged as one of our best road runners and is living up to that reputation now. Look at this, she's starting to sprint, and Gemma Steele sprinting now. Oljira. And here we go on the sprint. This is it. This is where it's all happening. Oh, she's looked the wrong way. She looked the wrong way. And now she's really hammering down the pedal. But I think Oljira, Gemma Steele and Oljira. Oljira's there. Gemma Steele in second place at the moment. Can she get past her? It's going to be a terrific finish between these two. It's going to be neck and neck as they come through. I think Oljira's going to get it. Oljira's going to get it, I think. Oljira's going to get the finish. Let's look at that. I thought this might happen. But what a great, great race. Indeed. Oljira's coming away towards the finish now, and it's Ethiopia over Great Britain. Oljira wins it with a terrific finish, 52:38 or so unofficial, 52:40. Gemma Steele in second place, but a personal best has gone by a big, big margin. Remember, it stood at 53:44, and you must say what a fantastic race between these two women. And Gemma really did absolutely everything, and in a way, she proved to be the perfect pacemaker for the Ethiopian.
Well, Kiplimo is building a gap now, albeit having to work very, very hard for it here. Abraham Kiplimo, he's a good track athlete. He's a 13:10 5,000 meter runner, 27:49 a couple of years ago for 10,000 meters, but he is now an out-and-out road racer and indeed a marathon runner. He's got a total of 4 marathons to his name. Third in the Gothenburg half marathon in May this year. Didn't run any track races this summer. He ran 61:55 for that half marathon in Gothenburg, showing really good strength and speed endurance over the half marathon, which is what, about 3 miles longer than this 10-mile distance.
Conditions, the wind and the seafront
And Changewa, well, it's been a solid run from her. It's only her third race this year. Crossing the line in isolation, just outside 54 minutes, but not having to work quite as hard as that leading pair.
No, indeed. Second in Birmingham, third here. So it's been a good end of the season for her.
Last weekend in Birmingham.
About 54, 17 or 18, wasn't it? Look at that, 1 minute and 38 behind.
Well, Kiplimo, that gap is what, 20 meters at the moment? And just to give himself a slightly more comfortable closing half mile or so, I think he'd like to grow that to 50 or 60 meters. And I actually think it is growing as we're watching. That's 25 meters now. Yeah, I think he has accelerated. It's difficult to see from this helicopter shot, but that gap is growing. It's 30 meters. He's really lengthened his stride.
The Naval Dockyard. And this a different pace. Different quality of running, of course, but then quality is not just in running. It's quality in terms of raising money, raising funds for others, and the thought for others so often here in these races. As they come down towards the final stages. That's 15 kilometers gone through there.
15 kilometers, what,
yeah.
About 43.12, something like that?
43.12 it is, yeah.
Rungaru 3 seconds down, and that gap has closed more. That's about 15 meters. We could be in for another humdinger over the last few hundred meters, because I'll tell you what, Kiplimo here in the front has got a slight forward lean. The torso has slumped a little bit, and Rungaru, you can see here, has suddenly got a sniff that there's a weakness in Kiplimo out in front. Again, his eyes are focused down on the road, Stuart, but he is bouncing more. That's 10 meters.
Yeah, he is definitely, all of a sudden, he believes. He believes he can catch, and I tell you what, he may well. His leg speed has increased, and he's going to close him down. This is going to be a very, very good finish again. And Kiplimo is going to find himself under pressure, and they're closing down all the way. Look at this, 800 meters to go then.
Half a mile to run. And Rungaru, who looks, well, pretty much dead and buried 3 or 4 minutes ago, has rallied. Taller figure for Kenya. Far less experience as a 21-year-old. Indeed, this is his debut over the 10-mile distance. Kiplimo now glances over his shoulder and realizes he's got problems. Well, Kiplimo has the better track speed. Rungaru relatively inexperienced. This is another classic dust-up between this pairing. They've drawn well clear of third place. There's no doubt about that. Less than 400 meters to run. Kiplimo to the right. I wonder whether or not, though, because he's been able to ease back a little bit and has been caught by Rungaru, whether he's running on slightly fresher legs. Was he gathering himself for this or not? About 200 to run as they make this final turn. The finish line in sight now. They can see the gantry on the seafront here in Portsmouth. Rungaru, the taller of the two for Kenya. It is a Kiplimo of Uganda against Rungaru. And I'll tell you what, Kiplimo glances over his shoulder, and that tells the story. The legs have gone. There is no fight left in Abraham Kiplimo. The Commonwealth Marathon bronze medalist is beaten. And the youngster, James Rungaru, to give him his full name in Kenyan, at the age of 21, will win this 25th edition of the Bupa Great South Run in Portsmouth. Time to acknowledge the support. Don't worry about the clock. It's going to be outside 46.5 minutes. It's been a fabulous run from the youngster to win here yet again. The Africans dominate once more in Portsmouth, and jogging across the line there in second place, a very tired Abraham Kiplimo. Well, Rungaru 46.31 with Kiplimo also well under 47 minutes. Kimutai making sure it's an African 1-2-3. Mike Shelley, a good debut for him in fourth place.
The women, Oljira 52.40, and Gemma Steele just 2 seconds down in second place, with Doris Changewa of Kenya in third at 54 minutes and 18 seconds.
Well done. Are you happy with your performance?
Yes, I'm very happy. Thanks, my God. The competition is good, but it is wind. The course is good, but the wind is very strong.
Was it a tough course, and the wind in the last 2 miles was quite difficult?
Yeah, for the last 2 miles there was strong wind, but the rest of the course I think it was good. Yes.
For your first race, it's a good start.
Yes, for my first race it was very fantastic.
Well, coming up for us is the Great Ethiopian Run. But don't forget, keep up to date on our website, greatrun.org. From Portsmouth, goodbye.